Odds are going to knock you out there, Don, with the thunderstorm.
Yeah, we had a pretty good storm for all three.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're live now.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Plasticast. I'm your host, Plasticon. Joining me today is Don.
Hey everybody.
Sideburn.
Up.
And Megamus.
What's up?
And we are going to talk about kind of two topics in a burrito at this point. What makes us interested in like certain toys within like what makes a good toy to us when it comes to the engineering or whatever it is. And then we'll touch base on why we want to particularly collect a certain character or style of toy or whatever it is. But let's go ahead and kick this whole thing off with Don, and then we'll hit Sideburn, and then Megamus, and then roll back to me. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let Sideburn go first, because I just say because he's got kind of a better, clearer picture of kind of the topic, and then that way I may be able to refine my thoughts a little bit clearer than after I hear him, so that way I kind of know what we're shooting for on this half.
That's fine.
Good, because I didn't want 20 minutes of all about RC.
Does the perfect RC exist yet? I still don't think we have a headmaster. Well, we do have a headmaster RC, don't we? All right. So sort of the idea here is what is it about what's sort of the perfect thing that I look for when I'm buying Transformers, and like what makes something stand out to me. And like over the years, I've definitely had different opinions on that. Some of it had, at one time it was probably being, complicated and, imposing and expensive on the shelf, and sometimes that's good. But I would say over the years, what has become my perfect figure is something that really hits the look of the character in whatever media it was ever represented in, and the ability to achieve whatever modes it has with some level of simplicity, but it still being a really good representation of the character. So like one of the biggest lines that I think I was most impressed with, and there was a few turds in it, but it was animated, and that you had this really wild art style, and then they pulled it off in toys, and not only did they pull it off in toys, but none of the toys ever felt like I was tortured by them whenever I was transforming them and playing around with them and stuff like that, which was the opposite of my name, my screen name's namesake, Sideburn. I love RID, the 2001 series, Power Robots, but I remember playing with those as a kid, and it would take you like 50 minutes to transform everything, and then by the time I was done transforming everything, I was done playing with them. So I've sort of really come to enjoy the simplicity on top of still maintaining some sort of really accurate representation. Which I think also, it lends itself to the sort of the evolution of the engineering over time too.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Go ahead, Don.
Well, I think I was gonna say animated. Animated, I love the show. It's not my favorite line, but I respect it for them getting that look in the toys, because up at that point we really weren't sure what to expect, because when it was announced and you see preview pictures, one of my biggest pet peeves is people that look at a promo image, a still, and then assume everything about that is going to be bad because of that one image. That's something I absolutely can't stand. Wait till the finished product, then make your call. I was cautiously optimistic, but I was very surprised by how well the animated toys wound up being. Um, I think again, it's not my favorite, but I think it's the best, one of the best examples. Combiner Wars gave us a lot of really great innovations for combiners compared to what we had had previously. Yeah, we had a lot of mold fatigue very early on by them reusing a lot of these molds. But I think the primary example of that is Superion. Superion has always been a great looking combiner, but he's also the most boring. Four small jets that all transform the same. Silverbolt always has undercarriage garbage. There was no difference. But the process was so smooth. Everything kind of made sense. And it was like we actually got what I felt was some of the best combiners at that time, not counting third party. And even some third party combiners are extreme hit or misses. But I think, like Combiner Wars, the Minosaur was terrible. The Minosaur is, without a doubt, bad. But the Computron, I think Lio Kaiser's good. So I like Combiner Wars for actually giving us combiners again that were overall very, very solid and very good looking figures. I actually bought both Computrons because I love the way both Takar and Hasbro did the look. So I figured, well, I can either get like Sky Rain. At the time, I really didn't care for it. It was just a bunch of previously used molds, and then you had the Sky Links as well. And then it was like, I'll double dip and get Computron because I like the way it looks. So I think for me, Combiner Wars is a high point in showing what they can do with what they had at the time.
That makes sense. So what about you, Megamus?
Well, I'll start off with a green animated. When they first promoted it, showed this, that, and the other, I thought it was going to be horrible. I really thought this was going to be like, what was it, Prime, where it was like kidsy, very, very childish. But it wasn't. And then I saw the toys, and the toys looked fantastic. I mean, you talk about taking what you saw in the cartoon and making something that you can transform. And in my opinion, except for like Masterpiece and stuff like that, where it takes 20 minutes to transform something, these things were really, really close. So I like those. But, and I mean, I could sit here and go through about what was my favorite G1, G2, Masterpiece, and all that. And then we said we weren't going to do that. And of course, Beast Wars. But I look at what's in my room right now, because that tells you what I like. It's what I bought. And if I bought something and didn't like it, well, it didn't make the cut. It's not in the room. And what I see is, I see the Masterpiece. I think going through Combiner Wars, the only thing in my opinion that was good out of that was Devastator. And to this day, that's still the Devastator I'm going to put up on my shelf. This new one looks good, but I'm not getting rid of that one. And I think I even said that at the last show. Then you go on to the Legacy Motormaster and the Stunticons. Phenomenal. I just can't wait for the G2 version. I think it looks great. And then, of course, you got your Hasbro Pulse with your Star Saber, and then I look and see what I've acquired recently, and like there's Magmatron, and there he is sitting on my desk. I transformed him once. That's it. So in front of him I have the Missing Link Prime, Missing Link Bumblebee, Missing Link Cliff Jumper, which I've transformed probably 100 times. So I guess what I look for is the one that I can say that looks the best, and I'm only going to transform it once. And then I also want those despots, the fiddle ones, the ones you fiddle with. And they don't have to be overly complicated. Usually, the more overly complicated they are, most people will agree with this, the less you're likely to mess with them. So engineering's important. Nostalgia is definitely important. If nothing else, Missing Link has shown us nostalgia is important. Are these things blocky like a G1? Yep. Are they limited like a G1? Kinda. But then they put that tooling in it. But what Don will agree with, and you two may not because you weren't there, but when they first came out, you got them. You were always like, man, I wish he could move better. I wish I could pose him more. And we got it. So that's like a 1980s wish come true. And how can you not love that? Growing up in that era. Now, people that started getting into it, like the Babeverse and everything, are probably looking at these things going, what the heck are these blocky things? I get it. But for us, that's taking the old with the new, meshing it together and making something better. So, what do I mean by all this rambling? I go to two ways. I go the ones that have the best representation with the most articulation possible that I'm never going to touch, and then the others that just itch that nostalgia factor that I just fiddle with. So, there.
Yeah, I can completely get that. Growing up in the 80s and such with the whole Missing Link thing becoming a articulated version of Bumblebee and such. Absolutely amazing. They are. I love that engineering. But my engineering always kind of went back to G1 and Generation 2. I'm a lot like Don when it comes to combiners. But when it came to combiners, remembering how they looked on the show for Generation 1 looked completely not like the toys themselves, 100%. Because they sometimes plugged on backward. Like they didn't plug in the same way. And the whole thing where Metroplex had all those plugging ports, never once seen in the show. And me being a huge combiner guy, absolutely love the G1 Metroplex mold. I don't care what color that thing is put in. That has always been my favorite mold. It's the reason why I've customized that thing so many times into different versions, because I love what that thing does. Because it has compatibility to go with your combiners. I've always loved that size scale. It wasn't something that took up your entire room. You can play with stuff basically kind of in, kind of a confined area, not really taking up your whole living room, And they were easy to put back together and stand on a shelf. And they're solid. Now, I was more toward the Generation 2 colors. Love the colors. The colors is what gets me when it comes to collecting. But when it came to just toy engineering in general, I've always loved combiners. I even love the Micromaster combiners because they...
Jason's mic jumping in and out.
Yeah. Am I?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
It's probably my internet connection. Or something else.
I was actually... I had just pulled up a speed test on mine.
Is it working?
I froze up the other day.
Yeah, I don't know. Internet around here has been shoddy.
Yeah, it seems like it just keeps...
Is it still jerky?
Seems fine now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But at any rate, when it comes to toy engineering, it has been combiners, because combiners have all these different ways you can do things with them. It's been
it's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
It was like fine for a second, and then...
Yeah, you might need to drop video, Jason, and just conserve your bandwidth.
No, I might just do that. Turning off the camera. See if that
It's
works.
just me. Don's
Okay.
beautiful face.
Am
guys
I
like?
stuttering still or not? Gotta
Not
love
yet.
live streaming.
Yeah, not yet. All right,
was
sometimes
gonna say-
you can't do things about it. Sometimes your area's internet connection is something you can't overcome.
I'm going
I
to
mean,
praise the
mine's running
Spectrum
pretty
gods because the Spectrum gods are the ones that are running our internet here. Unfortunately, I don't have Google Fiber yet. It's a thing that's going to be installing around here soon, so it may be
Crazy
something we might get
Spectrum
into.
gods,
Are we limited by the slowest internet speed of the four of us, or how does that work?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure. It's probably just it's the internet in general around here.
I'm running close to 100.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's really
It's like-
strange.
It seems to be pretty good. I don't think I'm cutting in and out.
No, it's
Am I
just a connection.
Am I still
There might be a
cutting?
way. I don't remember.
It's
Could be it's mine.
I don't think it's my mic.
I ran into that before, and it was the cable on my mic. It was.
Yeah, at first I was.
Hmm.
It's either your connection. It did kind of seem like the game, like it was like it was not picking you up,
Oh,
and so it was like cutting you off.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to tell, to be honest.
okay. Can you hear me okay now, though?
Right now.
It seems to be
Okay.
okay so far.
Okay, cool. Maybe it was the video feed. I don't know. Just being silly. Welcome to, 2025 where technology still isn't caught up with the software. But anyway, like I said, Combiner is probably my favorite. Talking about like show-wise from like conversion of what something looks like on the screen versus the toy. Yeah, I have to agree 100% on animated. Animated was black magic as far as I'm concerned. Like how they were able to take that toy and make it actually, look like the cartoon and make the cartoon look like the toy. Because I actually had several animated figures in my collection at one time. They were pretty amazing.
Kind of a subtopic there, but just talking about animated in general. when you start with something that is more simplistic in design, it's easier to recreate that in real life, and it goes hand in hand. It's not taken away from the show or the toys, but it's easier to represent something like that than like years later we're getting masterpieces that look more and more like what we saw in the cartoon, and that's a
better
good
or worse.
thing, and it's a bad
For better or worse.
right. So,
Well,
but, I mean,
I agree with you on that completely. I don't know. It's something about the way Masterpiece is. I think sometimes Masterpiece overdoes it. Does that make sense? They could keep it simple, but they really
Yeah.
overdo it a lot.
That's sort of the thing where I think to justify the price point, it seems like they overcomplicate things. Like, I love MP44, right? I absolutely love that Optimus Prime. It's got so much articulation, so much movement. It looks like it walked out of the TV screen. But I never thought in my life that you could make Optimus that complicated.
oh yeah,
And it didn't need to be that complicated. Parts were breaking because of the complexity.
sure. The thing that gets me is you talk about trying to make the price point and this, that, and the other. And I'll be perfectly honest, that's one of the beefs I have with Hasbro Pulse. If we reach this tier, you get this little guy that I'm sorry I don't care about. If you reach this tier, you get the mace. Okay, I care about that. If you reach this tier, you get the stands, which I'm never going to use. How about instead of giving me the stands, you cut the price? Hey, if we reach 15,000, backers, we'll knock $50 off. Got me.
Well,
I'm sorry. I think they add stuff when they don't need to. I 100% agree with Mike. I mean, they don't need to add this stuff. Just like the missing link, Optimus Prime. They had one with the trailer and one without. I'm not going to use the trailer, so I got the one without. It was cheaper.
and the funny thing is
I
you
had
can
trailers
use
sitting there for nothing.
Yeah, I was about to
So-
say, can't you use like a G1 trailer with it anyway? So it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
if you have it.
Yeah, and I got 3 of them sitting over here. I mean,
Yeah, I was like, that was the whole reason I bought it. I was like, I have 2 G1 Optimus trailers. I don't need a third one.
right.
Like, did they add any like how much articulation are they going to add to the, the one articulated part inside of that trailer to make it worth it? I don't know.
I don't
Was
know.
it-
Did it even come with roller?
Yeah, it comes with a roller. I don't know if
think it
they
came
added something to roller though. I think they made it so you can carry the gun better, and it probably doesn't have the pegs sticking out of the back.
I don't know, but I like the idea of having. You can still get the same character with 2 different price points.
Yeah.
All right, that's choices. Listen up, Hasbro. We want choices.
Well, I mean, at
If
least
there's
they're not.
anything you know about Transformer fans is they want choices and they're going to gripe about everything. Simple as that.
Well, at least they're not doing what Mattel's doing now. Mattel's got this whole thing where you have to sign up for their exclusive club for He-Man figures right now, and it's like you pay $10 for the exclusive thing, and then all of a sudden now you're able to get hold of these figures that are within the club, so they're behind a paywall. I mean,
Well, I mean, Hasbro Pulse does that. You sign up for their premium membership, you're going to get access to these figures first. Okay, who cares?
but I mean that's the thing. You can still order them without the paywall. This is strictly through a paywall. There's a
No,
difference.
you see what I'm saying? They're selling a membership, no matter how you look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And I
agree.
understand why they're doing that. We want to get the money from you before you start spending it. Hello.
I mean, why do you think they do the crowdfunding thing with the the HasLabs?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because that's kind of where my point came from. Where over the years I've gotten to the point where it's got to walk a balance between being accurate and being some degree of simple,
Functionality.
and I think a lot of the new Hasbro stuff, despite me not really collecting it, but like I've collected some of the Beast Wars stuff, I think a lot of the new Hasbro stuff has towed that line. Like if I look at their Dinobot or their Tigatron, they're really good representations for the most part. But they aren't hard. Like if I compare them to the masterpieces, though I adore Tigatron's masterpiece. If I compare them to the masterpieces, they pull off a very similar result without that need for complication. Which again comes back to where I think animated sells so well. Like if you pull like animated jazz is amazing.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it's like, and it's because they did design them simple in the show, but they also they somehow made it work in toy form. It was kind of just really interesting to see that era of Hasbro do that. And like I said, there was stinkers. Sentinel Prime is not very good.
No, but I mean,
for the most part, they did great things.
Yeah, but then look at like what was it, Prowl? And it was good. It was good, and then it was so good that they made a better one. You know, and I liked it. I liked it so much. I got that add-on kit with the sidecar for the samurai armor and all
Yeah, you're
that.
talking about the new the
new one.
Generations one, right? Yeah, that one was so good. That one actually made me disappointed in the other animated figures that they released in it.
Yes.
Because I feel like they did not achieve the same thing they did with Prowl that they with Prime or with Bumblebee.
Yeah, it's kind of like they got lazy on the other ones.
Yeah.
You know, like they really hit hard with this one, and they were like, yeah, and we'll throw these in too.
Well,
Kind of like the whole Bumblebee line.
I think there for the longest time, and even they still do it, Takara and Hasbro were confusing complexity for being better. It wasn't better because it was harder and more complex or had more steps. granted, it gave you a more accurate robot mode to maybe what you were looking for.
Yep.
But the journey was not half the fun getting there.
I think you're right in that. I think there's actually some people in Hasbro that think, well, if this thing doesn't take 20 minutes to transform, then they're not getting their money's worth. And,
Right.
we're like,
And
that's not accident. That's not really
Yeah.
true.
But in their defense, they are trying to walk a tightrope. Basically, they're walking a tightrope on three-way axes, trying to meet safety standards, trying to make a figure they can make a profit, and make a figure that will resonate with the target audience, us or the kids. So
Sure.
it's a balancing act of almost insurmountable proportions if you stop and think about all the metrics they have to hit to get a figure out to the stores.
So,
But the
if you
problem
remember, the
is-
one time I said that I always thought it was crazy that Hasbro would leave money on the table by making these hollow joints, hollow this, hollow that, and it would take a third-party company, to make these kits. And I always thought they were leaving money on the table and they shouldn't be doing that. But truthfully, they're not making the figures for me. They're making the figure for the masses. And at the price point, like you said, and the margins, it made more sense to make them hollow. And then if I wanted to buy something to fill in those gaps, that was my choice. So that
Right.
makes...
And I'm surprised that Hasbro and Takara haven't. And Takara used to. It was before brand unity. Takara used to. I'm surprised they haven't capitalized on premium deco figures.
Oh, yeah.
Where they would take those, where they could take those and produce gap fillers and make it a more expensive toy.
Or just sell the kits by themselves.
Yeah.
Well, again, you're looking at safety regulations that they would have to meet, whereas a third-party company doesn't.
True.
I mean, do they? I think the problem is that
Right.
Hasbro doesn't want to mark these things as collector items. They want to have them be retail safe that they can sell to children. Because there's plenty of stuff that doesn't have to meet those requirements.
I get that, but you can't
are
say that
sold
you're not
like-
gearing stuff towards collectors, otherwise the whole Masterpiece line wouldn't be a thing.
Well, yeah, but Masterpiece is.
It's geared towards collectors.
It is, but a lot of the masterpieces don't get on shelves, right? They're just
No.
sold through Pulse or they're sold through online
Yeah,
stores.
because
Well, I
of the
never
price
said
point.
mass retail. I just said
At least
for
in the
collectors.
U.S. At least in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, because they could, anything that could stop taking one of the figures from one of the recent lines, one of the SS80s, the SS86 figures, and then filling in all the gaps on them and releasing them as a
Fit that.
premium, right? And then selling it exclusively through their online shop.
The thing is, though, doing that would involve, unless they cut the mold at the time the mold was originally created to be planned, it would cost a lot of money to cut a new mold just
No.
for those extra pieces and parts. It would.
Yeah.
I mean-
Then how do these smaller third-party companies that make these kits do it?
I know exactly how they do it. They probably drop resin down in a current figure, like say the arm. They drop,
What's
a
that
type of
called?
resin in there in order
Reverse
to.
engineer.
Yeah, they reverse engineer it. That's the only way they do it. Now,
Yeah,
for a
because-
mass making company like Takara and Hasbro and Mattel and all these other companies, for them to be able to do that, it would cost them an astronomical amount of more money in order to take those pieces and reverse engineer them to create a mold.
I disagree. I
Well-
don't think it would cost more. I just think it's not in their best interest because you're talking about a very small audience.
And
And
also,
and it might cut from the normal sale. Sorry.
And to
yeah,
be honest, and to be honest, if you look at the hollow parts of some of these Transformers, there's molded detail down in there. So it's not like they're not thinking of that. They are thinking,
Yeah,
okay, well, you see it from the back, there's some molded detail inside of it. It may not be a solid thing, but at least they're trying to put something in there. We're not ever going to get characters like we did with, the entire Unicron series, where they're solid, hard brick thing that you could throw at somebody and hurt somebody. You know, that kind of thickness.
I get that, but just like I told you, what's the two things that the Transformer fans, they want what they want cheap, and they're going to bitch about whatever you say. Go ahead, Don.
That's very true.
Right. Well, the thing is, you also have to remember, Hasbro and Takara has to look at a wave. They're making all these toys that's being considered a wave of figures.
Yep.
The wave has to balance out to make a profit.
Correct.
So you can't really give one figure all the stuff without some other figure getting none of the stuff.
Well, you know as well as I do, they could do it for all of them. But that's
again,
still not
though,
their big picture.
The thing is, though, we have to remember they have to make money on this stuff.
Right.
And the money they would get by making this figure have everything, one, could blow the whole pricing thing for the wave out of proportion, and two, it would make the figure that got nothing look bad. For example, Prime Arachnid. Her deluxe figure, as I've mentioned before, is an absolutely terrible figure. And my feeling is that something in that wave needed to have her suffer as a figure so they could pull off the wave.
Offset the cost.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now,
make the wave balance out.
The funny thing is that you say that, but Hasbro went through this a long time ago with G.I. Joe. The original figures of G.I. Joe. And I talked about this before. Snake Eyes had no paint apps. And everyone thought it was an amazing idea. And it turned out he was like the most popular character. And one of the reasons was he was in all black. But it was a cost effective. They did that because they ran out for the line of money to make it cost effective. So they went up, just no paint apps. Something that simple.
Well, it's kind of the same thing they did in G1 with Metroplex and Ultra Magnus, for instance. The rubber tire versus the plastic tire design. Less paint apps made it cheaper, able to get them out quicker. And that probably had a little bit to do with pushing the budget toward the next line in order to actually, allow that to happen.
I've heard two different things about Ultra Magnus and the KB exclusive. So I don't know which is true. But there are two different variations, and rubber tires versus plastic, painted face versus non-painted. And yes, no matter how you look at it, it was to cover costs. It was to cover costs for a smaller batch.
But now, as far as the figures that we're willing to rebuy, I am guilty of not doing the purge. I have most everything that I've been collecting my entire life. My basement and my storage building will attest to that.
Good for you. I didn't do that.
But now it's come back to haunt me as far as now that I'm older, as Megamus constantly reminds me.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah, thanks. But I'm willing to buy...
Youngest one here, guys. Youngest one here.
Yeah. You guys do know that he's only like a few months older than me, but I'm just going to let it go.
But the thing is that I'm willing to buy a new Optimus if they do something unique or different to get him into that recognizable Optimus profile. Because the transformation, getting there is worth it to me to have another Optimus. Because, it's another red, white, and blue Optimus. But how you get there, for the most part, is what's important for me.
Sure.
However, there are always exceptions. Devastation Optimus Prime is not something that I want at this point in my collection, and I canceled my pre-orders. Because I did see an early review of that, and it looks game-ish accurate.
Does it?
I'm just saying, I see what they're going for. But the truck mode and the transformation, it's not worth the money. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
I think it would have been more
accurate. Look at that.
If they had done a cel-shaded SSA, the 86 Optimus. See, I'm a big, I'm a gamer. My setup that you guys can't see, I have my screen is this wide
What?
for playing video games on. And I love games, and I absolutely loved the Transformers games. I've been collecting like the gaming series, the War for Cybertron stuff from those games. And then when they announced the Devastation Optimus, and I saw that thing, I was like, "Who's this for?" It doesn't really look like it came out of the game, because the game, if we're being honest, Optimus just looks like G1 Optimus. And then it's
maybe they felt like they had to do something different to sell it.
I guess, but it's like that's the one where I don't understand why it exists. I really don't understand why it exists, and I assume an Optimus character collector will buy it, but I don't know why that exists. It doesn't fit my criteria.
I kind of say that.
One of the things you said, Don, was that why do we need another Optimus unless it did something or something like that? I agree with that wholeheartedly. If you told me that last year I was going to buy an Optimus Prime that looked just like the one I had in 1984 or 5, I would have said, no, I'm not going to buy another one. But like I said, the missing link, it did something different. So I'm never going to say that I won't buy another Optimus or Bumblebee or whatever. If they come out with something that I just find is, enticing, then I'm going to buy it. Never thought we'd have these. So, yeah. And honestly, I cannot believe, let's see if I can find it. I just happened to look on Pulse, and you were talking about the missing link RC. Don, you were talking about that?
Yeah.
I just saw the prototype one, and I think that looks amazing.
Yeah. I get a very Alita 1 vibe off the prototype color one.
It really does look like that first Chrome Dome mock-up. Remember that we got? The colors and everything. I'm hard pressed not to get one. And I really don't like this mold, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, it's based off the original thing that would have came out, Brett. So, I mean, if it's got crazy articulation to match the missing link stuff would be cool. But to be honest, what I would like to see is them release one that doesn't have that added articulation as well. So it does fit in with the G1 stuff, so it makes you feel like it is a toy from that era as well. I don't see a reason why they couldn't do both.
They do. Have you looked at the Bumblebee and the Cliff Jumper?
No, I have seen them. I'm not talking about that. Okay. What I'm saying is literally one that is... well,
I get it, but what I'm saying is you can transform these just like a G1. And they're just as squared off. They look just like it. But then you can go further. So maybe this one can do that too. So it'll be more of a blocky, it's hard to see if they have ball joints. It doesn't look like it. It looks like they have friction joints. But maybe you can have both, because in my opinion, like I said, these two mini bots, you can transform them just like the original 80s, or you can take that step further and make them, more articulate.
Well, my thing with this is if they were able to do that without the added engineering that they currently have, they can make them literally transform just like the original brick bots and actually charge less. And there will be people that will buy that just because of that situation.
Once again, small market, big company.
Well, my thing is, honestly, it probably wouldn't take much to do that, because all they'd have to do is, in the molding process when they do this, is design it in such a way that they actually have locking points where they don't actually separate, much like that Robotech Macross thing that they had to stop basically halfway through that could not transform. Makes sense?
I heard half
they could
that.
do something.
Macross what?
The Macross Valkyrie that was not allowed to transform because of the licensing thing, where they had to stop, basically already had it. they could do the similar thing with RC.
I'm trying to piece together what he said. I kind of understand.
Yeah, it's getting a little glitchy at the moment there, Jason. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what the original prototype was
For RC,
like. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Don, you'd know this. I thought the original one was made of wood.
It was. The original prototype was a wooden prototype that got pictured. It was never painted that I can remember, and it was just a proof. That's how they would early model a lot of this stuff. It's just proof of concept would be out of wood.
Right.
It
Yeah.
did have that weird pink yellow or pink orange.
No, they got that color right. But here's the thing: if you actually want to see a picture of it, you can see this show called Ed, and Eddie, and he has this thing called Plank, and it looked kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I was trying to look at it to see what they would have to do to make it, to sort of restrict it down to. I mean, I guess if they just got rid of I guess if they just replaced the joints with like straight,
Yeah.
just like straight arms and stuff, it would just transform like a
I mean,
G1 figure.
if you know what Chrome Dome, how he transforms, he literally just folds in half. The hood becomes the chest. The arms pop out. The legs don't move. The toes pop out, and you're done. And I mean, yeah. I mean, if they really wanted to do a retro, just take that mold, spray paint it, and there you go.
But I am kind of with you on, like, I was really surprised when I first transformed Missing Link Optimus, because you do get to a point in this transformation where I felt like, okay, this is just G1 Optimus Prime,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just start moving its joints, and it just like opens up another world with that figure.
Believe it or not, the thing that blew my mind the most was the waist.
Yeah.
That they were able, not only once you're done transforming him, and yeah, his shoulders move a little different, this, that, and the other, and he's got the hands instead of that, but then you can pull the legs apart, and now you've got articulation in the hips. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. Give that guy a raise, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was collecting like my perfect Optimus, Missing Link would have challenged that, just based purely on the
Engineering is amazing.
the nostalgia of it, like
Yeah.
knowing that old classic Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
And then having it suddenly have articulation made it, to me, almost feel like a perfect Optimus Prime.
Yeah. What all they did was basically give us the toy we always thought the first one was.
Exactly, like I said. Absolutely. Now,
So I mean,
there's a missed opportunity, and maybe they're doing it. I just don't know it. I think they should come out. I know they did a more animated version. Did they do a new head sculpt
For which one?
for Prime?
I think the head sculpt stayed
They
the
had-
same for each version
Just a paint.
and the recolors.
It would be neat to see more of an animated head.
I'm pretty sure the head changed.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
think
if
it
the
did.
head
Yeah,
changed.
the head
Okay.
is different. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then on Bumblebee, 100%, give us the cartoon.
Oh,
And
I'm
sure
sure
that's coming
that'll be coming.
Oh,
That'll be
absolutely.
another
Oh,
purchase down the road.
Please, I hope not. I don't,
It will
because
be.
I've bought it at this point, giving up on there being an animated version. So
I
if they
want them
release
all.
an animated version, I'm going to be upset.
Mini
Believe
bots.
me, they will go back.
Mini bots.
They will go back to that Bumblebee mold because you still have hubcap,
Colors.
bumper,
Yep.
all the Argentine colors,
Yep.
bubble jumper. They will go back to that mold and they will reuse it as much as possible.
I
'Cause
just hope
honestly-
they continue with them and do all of the mini bots.
Because I was honestly holding out on the mini bots because of I mean, I guess I should have, Cliff Jumper was catching strays because of Bumblebee. But I was holding out on Bumblebee because he has the toy head. And I was like, they're going to do the cartoon head. Because I have Toon Prime, and I want Toon Bumblebee, and I wanted, Cliff Jumper is basically Toon Cliff Jumper. Because I plan on getting the Toon RC. Like the prototype one doesn't really interest me.
I like it.
But I think it's cool that they're doing it, because of that old, prototype that we've all seen.
Sure.
But to go with my Toon Prime, I want the Toon, the Toon RC.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
But it's like
You're going to do it. Just look at Sunstreaker. They didn't announce one; they announced two. They're like, "Look, guys, we're already making repaints. Gotcha, on board. Give me the red one."
They did that.
And see, Corden I can skip.
Yeah, they also did the repaint of Optimus and Sentinel Prime. When that's all they've already done that mold 3 times between basic cab with trailer, and now the Sentinel Prime. So you've already gotten 3 uses out of that right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my thing is I don't know if they're ever going to release a G2 version of, Bumblebee, or it would have to be hubcap, not Cliff Jumper. They'd have to redo the face completely for that. But I don't know if they'll ever do that or not.
That'll just depend on the popularity of
Character.
the popularity of the character and the popularity of the Missing Link line in total. It was kind of a shocker that they. I mean, let's be real. It was like no one in their right mind ever would have predicted that after giving us Optimus, Bumblebee, Cliff Jumper, and Sunstreaker, they were going to go, yeah, here's this prototype RC that never saw the light of day as the 7th figure in the line.
No, but the one I really want that they're not going
Unicron?
No, Unicron would be fun. It would be fun. Dude, make it work. Somehow give me a Missing Link Megatron. I don't know how you do it, but give me that. Give me that engineering on that old style, and I will be happy.
You're saying Missing Link G2 Megatron? Wait, what? That's the one I want.
No, G1, baby.
See, I think
I want Customs to have a heart attack when they see this thing. Come on.
This is one of those things where it's like it's kind of the brand alignment comes back to being kind of a shame. Like it was surprising that we got like MP36 when we did, but it feels like such an impossibility. Like because we had that old books, like we got the book style Megatron back in the early 2000s.
That was 05,
Yeah.
06, somewhere in there. But that was right before, once they changed the laws and everything, it makes it so hard to do anything that we're talking about we want to happen. So I get that. But
what if they did?
There's got to be a way of doing it. Just do it.
Well, to be honest, they would be able to do it there easily in Japan. Us trying to get it here in the States, next to impossible in some other countries as well.
I think Japan's cutting down on some of that stuff too. I think it's actually a worldwide thing.
Well, unless they've changed the laws like within the past few months, because I've talked to several other people and it seems to be about the same over there. They're not
really.
They haven't changed a whole lot because people don't handle firearms over there, like not as often. They don't do what they do here in the States, and that's the issue. That's the whole reason why everybody's gonna be crying when the Studio Series Megatron comes out and it's a tank. Well, it's probably not going to change here in the States. I can see them probably doing it there in Japan, but not here in the States. Just ain't gonna happen.
Are you trying to say that everywhere else in the world is not as
No.
nearsighted. I'll just say it, not as dumb as the United States. All right,
Well, no, that's not it. What it is it boils down to
good
let's say
talk.
let's say yeah, I know. Let's say it does boil down to what the laws are in each country, and if you look at the demographics dealing with firearm sales, they are a heck of a lot more here in the United States than they are anywhere else on the face of the planet. So there's a reason why it's the way it is here.
That has nothing to do with it. Not in my opinion.
Well,
What
your
it has-
opinion, but it's the statistics, brother.
You tell me anywhere in the world where you got to put a warning on soap not to eat it.
That's all over the.
Or
That's all
it's
over the
just a
place.
level of stupidity. No, trust me. Don't run with the scissors. All right, let's put a warning saying don't run with the scissors. Well, I'm afraid someone. Let's.
A lot of it.
point.
I mean, some of it is just kind of we're a very litigious country, but
You see what I'm saying, though.
on the topic of I think the reason I think Missing Link Megatron is never going to happen, even in Japan, is just because I don't think Hasbro, in their partnership with Takara, is going to accept that being Japan locked, basically.
Exactly.
Hasbro loves
hasn't-
bringing those over to the Pulse shop, and I just don't think that they'll let that happen
Well,
at this
but
point.
they did before, because Takara Book Style, which was Japanese only. We got
Yeah, but that was before
Now
Hasbro
it's
was
different,
importing
correct.
everything.
now they're more.
Because even MP36
Solidified.
predated all that, right?
So, do I want to see it? Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? No.
Now, will this piss you guys off if Takara made a G1 styled tank Megatron? Would you
No.
guys
I
hate
mean,
that?
At this point, anyone who is expecting gun mode Megatron is going to really, really need to come to terms that if it happens, it will take a very specific set of circumstances to be made 15 years ago at one of the BotCons, give or take. Hasbro said, do y'all remember Safety Megatron?
I wish
was the
Safety
one-
Megatron. I wish Safety
Safety
Megatron
Megatron.
would have been released. It's such an amazing toy.
Right. 15, and for those of you who don't know, Safety Megatron was a G1 Megatron in blues and oranges, color breakups to make sure when you looked at it, you knew it wasn't a real gun.
Yeah,
This was 15 plus years ago.
if you guys go back
Hasbro
through.
themselves said,
Sorry, I was about to say something, Don. If people actually go back through my YouTube, I did a review of a custom one that I did. I actually sent to Brett recently of this toy. So, if you guys want to see it more in depth, but go ahead, Don.
yeah.
it's right here.
So 15 years ago, they couldn't even do that in that kind of color scheme. The best we've ever gotten, the last thing we ever got
Here it comes.
was Classics Megatron.
Nerf.
Okay, hon.
Yeah.
The green one and the Takara red one that came in the 2-pack with the matching Optimus. So, yes, I understand Megatron to many people will always be a gun. I understand that. It's simply the things, the roulette wheel necessary to get that to happen has not been invented yet. There is
Well-
no 20,000 space roulette wheel, and one of the wedges is G1 Megatron. The odds are.
I get that. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's going to happen. It's something.
Oh yeah, I think
everybody
everyone
wants
wants it for sure.
But I also
Absolutely.
know when you wish in one hand, which fills up. I get it.
Yeah. I'm just
See,
saying
and to
that.
Jason, I think they will do. I think what we will probably get or potentially get will be like G2 Megatron,
Yeah.
and then they'll just
Now-
do a G1 deco of it.
So I have a bit of
Now-
a prediction on that. My prediction is, you know how they just got done doing the Fallen? That's a new tank. What do you guys think that they're probably going to turn around and use that for the 86 Studio series?
They're not. They're not. I'll tell you why. I have spoken with someone on Twitter. I'm not tossing out names. This is not one of those, oh, my uncle works at Hasbro thing. This is a very, very well-known reviewer on Twitter. He has spoken with Hasbro and the design team for his podcast. The Fallen that's coming out is not the basis for Studio Series 86 Megatron. He has been told that point blank by Hasbro, and this has come up in a discussion thread on Twitter. And he has been told blatantly, no, this is not a pre-tool for 86 Megatron. And considering who he is and the accuracy of what he said in the past, I'm tempted to go ahead and take that at face value. Now, if anyone else, I'm not naming names because I don't want him to be inundated with stuff. But
no, that doesn't matter. The thing is that if that's not an option, which I'm fine with, what option do you think they would put for an 86 Megatron?
I think they would just make a new mold.
yeah, I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to look at the robot mode. What can you make in robot mode that is as close to 86 Megatron as possible, and then pull your vehicle from that, because that is going to be on display in robot mode next to or with Prime in some fashion. So it's got to pull off the robot mode silhouette first, and I think everybody will feel like, okay, his alt mode is X. It's not great, but that's not the mold everyone's going to be putting it in.
Maybe just change it to like an artillery cannon or something like that.
It's
Change
not.
it to a
I would like another helicopter Megatron. Animated Megatron was a really great break. It was a breath of fresh air for Megatron as an assault helicopter. That makes sense to me as him. I wish Prime Megatron had taken on some kind of Earth mode, even if it was like a Switchblade homage or something like that, a triple changer, and not been in his Cybertronian origami mode the entire series.
Well, that's the problem with Megatron. He's been constantly either an origami thing. He was a car in Generation 2, the GoBot. He's pretty much been everything, honestly. And it's really hard to settle on one mold for him. Everybody's like, oh, well, he has to look the same all the time. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But
No.
Yeah, I just,
no. You said D2.
Yeah.
You do know that they did it again.
What are you talking about?
What was it called? Eternia? The alternators line?
Eternity.
Yeah.
Eternity.
Eternity.
That was Megatron, an homage of G2 Megatron.
Yeah, the car mode.
The silver car, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could kind of get that more than I would the animated or anything that came after, because that's as close as you're going to get to G1 time-wise within the parameters that we have now.
Oh, I think we're going to get a tank.
They've already said he's going to be a tank. It's just depending on what kind of tank.
That's just, again, they're going to make the robot mode the priority to make sure the silhouette in robot mode matches 86 Optimus.
Well, this
then
it just better not be that War for Cybertron tank mold that they released like 18 times.
They already said they're going to get rid of that mold.
Yeah.
So that's my thought, but I think we've sort of gotten away from what we were as far as as well, I think what it is when they come out with a new figure, we want that something unique. We want that. Oh, they did that. For example, Legacy Beachcomber, Legacy Ruckus, same basic skeleton,
Yeah.
but they look radically different. So that's what makes us buy these figures over again, is when they use their budget and stuff, or even lack of budget. Lack of budget has brought us Legacy Cosmos, which I think is one of the best looking Cosmoses we've gotten in years.
Honestly, you could say that about all of the mini bots that they've released. In my opinion, they look great. I proudly put them with my masterpiece.
Okay, I'm going to hold this up. He's, by today's standards, he's a deluxe.
Yep.
This is the Walmart toy version of Gears. On card. They recaptured the Mysterian style face. I haven't opened up this one yet, but he does have the M in vehicle mode. They've got the toy style face. So I mean, something like this, the packaging combined with the slightly different hues of color and just the overall presentation made me buy it twice. I bought two of these, one to open, one to keep in the package. Because this is how you get me to buy a $25 deluxe again. Is you put thought and care into it.
So let me preface this with, I'm broken in that I buy anything Beast Wars that includes, and is not limited to, running color changes and repaints. But one of the coolest things I thought was that Takara did with the Kingdom Beast Wars molds was release them in those versus 2-packs with the old, the 2-pack style Japanese boxing and all that stuff. That looks just like it did back when it was the original toys in those 2-packs. I thought, man, those are really freaking cool. So I bought all those. I don't even know if I'm ever open. I kind of want to open them because the decos on them are great, but the packaging is so cool, and them in that packaging is so cool, and releasing that sort of nostalgia, like little nostalgia breadcrumb, just to sort of tweak that part in your brain. Really is, I will buy anything that is just like, oh, look at that. That reminds me of what I used to buy.
Right, but you know what's so good about those Versus packs? You're breaking a piece of tape, and then you can put it right back together. It's not sealed. I get that, but I mean, you could still do that, and I thought that was a really neat thing because I got Versus packs way back from Japan, and some of them they had paint differences and mold differences as far as the coloring goes and everything, and those were all neat. But the neat thing was seeing both the figures facing off with this background in this window, and it was a neat way to display it. But I could also take them out, transform them, put them back in, and slide it back, and it looks just as good. It's a great concept. It's just like, I keep going back to it, the Missing Link, Bumblebee, and Cliffjumper in the retro Japanese boxes. I love that. Styrofoam and everything. Great. Mess with them, put them back in the box, slide them in, still looks the same. And they look really, really close to the original. I mean, there's of course differences. But from a glance, you'd be like, this is uniform with the original packaging. So then Don showed Gears, and yeah, it's bigger, but you could put that next to an 84 Gears carded and give that to someone that doesn't know Transformers, and they'd be like, yeah, those look the same. They obviously look the same. So yeah, retro. Always about that. Yeah, absolutely. Scratch that itch for the retro.
Yeah, and that's something else for me, is not just a toy, but the packaging,
Exactly.
the presentation, that changes. This is sort of a side tangent, but one thing about BotCon, what that was important to me was not just the toy set, but the comic and the fiction around that universe in a box. A lot of people like it doesn't matter; they're just that year's toys. But for me, the fiction was almost as important as the toys because it gave you a look into this world that would not exist for the most part again.
Let me ask you something. And I really need to record this part. Do you think, as far as exclusives go for a convention, and they have a comic, that including those characters that are at that, the exclusives for that show, including
Yes.
them in the comic, is that important?
It is important because, yeah, you don't need the comic. You don't need to know anything about these characters. You have a name, and all of us are old enough to know that this character is a reflection of this character in this universe, and you get it. But
Do you
when
remember? Do you remember the last couple of years of custom class figures being put in the comic?
I I never did the custom classes because my building skills are so terrible. So I never really looked at that part of
Well,
other
guess
than
what?
yeah, custom figure because I
They're
couldn't
in
do it.
there.
Yeah, yeah. So like for example, I'm gonna give an example. BotCon 1997. The only BotCon I was not able to go to because I lost my job.
And was that
John and Paul.
was that Antagony, or was
Well,
that 96?
yeah.
I
What
mean,
what I'm going for specifically, Fractal and Pack Rat.
okay, that was okay. Yep. All right.
Yeah, that 2-pack
Mm-hmm.
with the comic on who these characters were, even the comic was in black and white, is a wonderful. It's probably one of my favorite exclusives because it's the very simple recolors, but the comic gives the personalities on who these characters are to make the set more fleshed out. And I say that to say this: doing new packaging that shows that you care, that you're trying to capture something from the past in new form, like Gears.
Mhm.
If you have some of the selects packaging, is we talked about this previously, how it's
Yeah.
just plain brown boxes.
They suck.
They suck. But if doing these cheaper boxes adds a cost savings that lets us get these figures, if we look at all the things that has to hit right for this figure to be made, if that plain box is what it takes, I'm willing to sacrifice that box, that presentation.
Oh, absolutely.
But we also mentioned this. I want the fiction back. I want, yeah, we get Gears's bio, multilingual bio. It's not much, but it's more than what you get on the back of a studio series or a
Mhm.
legacy that's just one or two sentences and that's it. I want something on the back of Transformers figures, even if it's just packaging change, that makes this a unique piece.
I'm assuming that you got the Pack Rat and Fractal box set.
John and Carl was nice enough when they found that I had lost my job to hold one set for me. I sent in for the package. I sent in everything before I lost my job. I just didn't have the money to actually go, so they made sure to send me
And I'm
all that I had
assuming,
paid for.
sure, and I'm assuming that you got the comic.
Yeah,
Did you know that those box sets, not all of them came with comics?
if I did, I forgot.
There's less comics than there are box sets.
Okay, that I don't think I knew that then.
I don't know exactly what happened, but I do know that some of the box sets were sent out or picked up without comics, and I know that it had to do with some sort of production or whatever. The comic itself is extremely rare.
Oh,
You're looking at $100 plus comic,
wow.
just for the comic.
Did we lose Megamus?
Huh?
Did we lose
Nope.
Megamus?
Did
I mean,
you lose-
No, I'm here.
Sideburn. Sorry.
am I still here?
No, I'm still here.
Yeah, no, it's just Sideburn's image is frozen for me.
That's not it. I mean, am I still talking? Can you still hear me?
Well, yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
you're
I
fine.
just got my names mixed up.
Okay, good. I'll shut up. No, I'm just saying that what you have is actually rare. I mean, I think there was 225, 250 box sets, and there's way less comics.
I didn't even know that. I need those old Plasticon. These were series.
I mean, I'm
Mostly.
praying that we finally get Fractal and Pack Rat. I'm surprised it's not been done yet in the with the Retro Pterosaur and the Retro Pack Rat. I'm really
Well, we
surprised
got-
we've not gotten them.
I got no comment on that.
Because we got Pack Rat from the Generations Rat Trap, but yeah, I really wish I would love if they did a Fractal Pack Rat pack with the Kingdom molds.
And something else we didn't get. We never got Buster and Hydra from Power of the Prime's Darkwing and Dreadwind, which I thought was an absolute.
An easy
slam.
one.
It was so easy.
Yes.
Put them in a 2-pack. And give
Yes.
us Buster and Hydra, and we never got it.
Yeah, that's an
never
odd
got-
one.
Yeah, we never got. I expected
Yeah,
them.
but
At
you're
some
looking
point.
at you're also looking at something that as a 2-pack, Japanese 2-pack. I mean, it wasn't easy to find. The original.
Did they
So,
do a double clouder too?
That would be great.
When they did Double Dealer, did they do double clouder?
I don't believe so.
There's another opportunity they missed.
Yeah, but that Double Dealer mold was not the best. It's
Well, I mean, think about it. Metro Titan.
Yeah,
They
Metro
do
Titan.
Metro Titan?
They never did Metro Titan from the Metroplex, which I still think is the dumbest thing. Same thing with Devastator. They could have done him in
well,
in the
that's a
orange
Titan class
and the
figure,
yellow.
that's-
No, I get
Yeah,
that.
but
But let me ask you something, Don. They
Yeah.
Metroplex sold out quickly, and then they did the San Diego Comic Con. Correct me if I'm wrong, and that sold out quickly. And there was talks about doing a second run, but I never saw that. Well, why not
Well,
just do the recolor?
Well, there was a Japanese version too. There was 3 Metroplex in the
Okay.
Thrilling 30. There were 3 of them were Metroplex. It's like the old joke about KFC: 11 herbs and spices and 7 are salt.
Right.
It was 3 of the Thrilling 30 was all all Metroplexes. But the thing is, at a Titan class price point, Metro Titan would have been a major gamble for an even smaller niche target audience.
I get that. Not everyone thinks the way some of us do.
Yeah,
Actually,
and I didn't like
probably
that
no one
Metroplex. I did not like that Metroplex. I did not like the way it looked. I spent $100 more, and I got Utopia from Mate Toys.
Oh yeah,
So
that
the
thing
funny
is amazing.
about the funny thing is about Metroplex. I bought him at. I don't think it was Toys R Us because I think they were gone at that point. But I bought him at the store. Okay, paid retail.
No, Toys R Us was still around during that time, Brett.
Okay, then I
Yeah,
got.
I saw
him from
the
Toys R Us.
only one there. Yeah.
Okay, and I bought him, and I took him home, and I still remember sitting on the couch, and I opened the packaging up. And the first thing you see is his arm separated from his body, and him sitting there, and I'm like, what is this? So I get him, I put the arm on, I transform, I fiddle with him. I'm like, man, this thing is a piece of garbage. And I hate to say it, I put him back in the box, I took him back to the store, and I took it back. And then,
I wish I had done that with Fortress Maximus because
hang on,
Fortress Maximus.
like
That's
a
what
week
happened.
later, they were like triple the price.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang it.
I personally owned one. Actually, back when they came out, I bought 2 of them. One for my girlfriend's kid, and then well, my ex-girlfriend, I should say, kid, and then I bought one for myself. And I didn't mind the toy. I thought it was cool. But later on, I decided to just trade it off for a Fort Max because I didn't want it after a while. Because, I mean, it just didn't fit the aesthetic I was going for. It is more gamer
you traded it to me.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah, it is the War for Cybertron.
It's very gamer aesthetic. It's cool because of that. But
Okay, first of all, etiquette. All right, for anyone wanting to know etiquette, if you're going out to purchase a present for someone and you buy something for yourself, that's okay. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying right now. Okay, so then when you go to buy something and you buy the same thing for yourself because you wanted it yourself anyway, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No,
it's still a present.
No, it's still present. But anyway, at the time, like I said, I got rid of it, and I was like, okay, because I mean, I've always been more into the blocky stuff. I don't need crazy articulation on my toys. That's just me. But now, seeing the price, how it shot up on this thing, I don't know if Hasbro's going to take another crack at another Metroplex. I think it's silly that they haven't, but it seemed to be dragging their feet on this entire situation.
I don't understand why they wouldn't to begin with. Look at the San Diego Comic-Con. That's like $500.
Yeah, and all it has is what, chrome thighs and an extra gun and some little tiny PVC guys. That's literally the change. That's the only change between them. And I don't think the Japanese one has anything different, does it, Don?
Let me. So you didn't like Fort Max, Don?
No, I
love the Fort Max. I know
I love that thing.
But I liked it.
The city mode was crap.
Yeah, I bought that, and that's probably one of the biggest disappointments out of the box since Supreme Cheetor.
Oh my God!
That is so
So,
hard.
you guys heard that here. You guys heard that here.
crap.
Everybody that doesn't want that Fort Max anymore, send these boxies up and send these to Don. He will love them.
Oh my God! We did the same thing with Supreme Cheetor.
I wish.
Why did we do that?
I wish. I wish it was easier to get the Brave Maximus version of Fort Max, because that's the version I want.
Well, that's the funny part. I wanted to get that, but they also did Grand, right?
They did Grand.
I don't think
yes.
they ever did Brave.
But they did
Brave
not
is
get the.
They did
They did
Grand.
not get enough. Yeah, they didn't get enough backers for all the stuff they. Because see, the reason we got the BotCon Pretenders was because they had drugged the Cerebro shell out in anticipation of that getting the crowdfunding for the shell, which they didn't. But since the mold was viable and the Thrilling 30 gears and Eclipse fit into the Gorilla shell with some slight modifications, that's why we got those BotCon Optimus Prime Pretender.
Would
That's
you
why
like
we
a
got
little?
it.
Would you like a little insight on that?
Yes, please.
That was my shell.
That was your show.
Really?
They recasted.
I had to send it to them so they could retool it.
I thought they pulled the original out of storage. I didn't realize they had recreated it.
No, they used mine.
Isn't the back of
I
it?
was so worried
Isn't
it
the
was
back
gonna
of
be
it also? Isn't the back of it like one of the kneecaps from?
I don't know. I got the resin kit right here. Of course, it's buried, but it's right over there.
I thought part of like the backpack of that Pretender shell was like one of the knees from Metroplex or something like that.
I don't know.
I don't think it was, because I used to have that particular one he's talking about, and it did not look like that.
So the Pretender shell for Gran,
Right.
which is sitting behind me in the shelf.
Well, we're talking about the Fun Pub
Okay,
shells, right?
right. But that was used, reverse engineer, and then we got these Pretender shells.
Right.
And like I said, I got the resin for that one too. I don't remember anything about Metroplex in there. Could they have? Maybe. But
I don't think they did, because I compared the one I had to the original shell, and they looked identical.
And no pictures.
Yeah, I don't believe it was like that.
Don't be sharing in that. Just pop them up on the screen, because I.
Yeah, if Michael can do it, because of my computer being silly, I guess, or internet, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the back, because I know they had to like modify the back panel to make it bigger to fit gears.
I think it was internal. I don't think it was external.
The inner portion had extra rails so that the figure would fit in there. I do know that.
Yeah, it did.
Because the first one we got, I'm sorry, the first one they got, the canopy broke. So it was, you wound up with two pieces, and it had something to do with the structure. So they had to reinforce the sides, and in doing so, they put these rails in to reinforce them, and the rails had to make sure that the gears fit into it. If that makes any sense.
I didn't think gears went in there. I thought it was the that tank. It was the tank, not the gears. It was a tank that came out for that.
Gears and the sword fit on the back, the gun fit on the back, but there was something else that went inside because it was a double pretender.
Yeah, I'm talking about. This was for, you're talking about the Grand Max shell. That was for Megatron, not Optimus. Optimus was the monkey.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of backwards.
Yeah,
No,
that's okay.
It was for Megatron, but they used the Grand Maximus shell
Right.
as a basis.
Yeah, I know. I had it.
Well, like I said, mine's the one they used to do that.
That's what I was saying. Is I think the structure we're talking about that got changed was internal, like you're saying, like the rails was there to hold the strange
I was
little
talking
bit.
about the primal one that they re-engineered. That one had hinges that would break, and they had to redo the engine.
And I was talking about
Right.
the primal, is where I think they used like a kneecap from a kneecap from like a big toy or something to make that back panel that swung.
Yeah, I think you might have been right about that, because I
Yeah.
don't remember really comparing it as much as I did the other shell.
I don't remember that, but I'm
I'm
not
trying
saying
to-
I just don't.
I got rid of, like, I had the TFSS 5.0 one, the Optimus. I sold it. I traded it for something, I think. Trying to find a good picture of it, but I can't find one. Like, they're all from the front, you know. Obviously, no one really cares about the back of the figure.
Yeah.
We are
We're like an hour and a half, aren't we?
Yeah, we
almost
are.
at- yeah, we're like an hour and 25 minutes at this point.
I mean, there's really. How about this? Let's just recap.
Okay.
Recap. Very one or two sentences. You know, we're talking about toys. What you look for in a toy, and we'll just brief that.
Okay. Go ahead, Don.
Okay. I'm looking for something unique that I haven't seen before on a character that I thought there was nothing unique left to do with them. That will get me to rebuy the character in a new toy format. Plus packaging that I was not expecting.
Well, I'm done.
Sideburn.
Yeah, for me, it's a combination of hitting a good representation of a character, simple and fun, and then just hitting at this point hitting that nostalgia for characters that I once loved in my childhood, so
What about you, Megamus?
Like I said, Don got it. I mean, you know, I love the missing link stuff. I don't think we're ever going to see a hubcap. So Hasbro, make a hubcap. All right,
Yeah,
make a
and then,
bumper. Give me more. Give me more.
and
The characters I don't think you'll ever see. That's what I want. Just like he said. Absolutely.
And in my eyes, I want to see more of the. I mean, if you guys are gonna create these combiners, but you're gonna keep bringing them out one individually after another for G2, just stop doing it. Just do the box set. That's all I gotta say.
yeah.
I want a box set. That's all. Period. Just I'm tired of hunting. There's no point in it anymore. That's the only reason why I probably don't buy as much, because if I have to hunt around finding a figure, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not. This is how it is,
even
man.
more so than that, what you said is a good point. You know, Don's talking about the artwork, the box, the nostalgia. I love gift sets. I love them. Yeah. I didn't start collecting the Raiden ones, the Masterpiece Raidens, until they announced that they're doing a box set, and that you had to buy all the trains to put them in it. And I'm like, I'm sold. So I went back and bought. I still need one, but still, I love it. Great idea.
But yeah, that's my take on it. It has to either be that, or it has to be something extremely unique that they haven't done. Probably the one that I'm looking forward to the most that's coming out in the Power Prime stuff is Liege Maximo. We haven't gotten a really good figure of that, and I don't want it to be the IDW. I want it to be the G2 big weirdo at the end of the comic. That's what I want. If they want me to buy one, you produce that. Otherwise, you're not getting my money.
There you go, Hasbro. You ain't getting no money.
Hey, I'm pretty blunt on mine. But, yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. We will probably not be back next week because I'm going to be at a convention. I don't know if I'll be back in time to do a show on next Sunday. So, the following Sunday, we will be picking it up from there. So, same bat time, same bat channel, except for next weekend. Possibly not. So, just depends on how tired I am. I'll probably be
Let me ask you
exhausted.
this. Is
So-
anyone else getting like intermittent feed from him?
yeah. I mean,
I mean,
that's basically been what it's been the whole. Yeah.
Okay, well, just
Every
for
now and then
everyone
through the
else to know,
show.
we're not going to be here next week. We'll be here the following week.
Unless he really feels up to it.
Correct.
Correct.
Alright, guys. So, I'm ending the stream. You guys, thanks for tuning in. And we will see you next time.
Peace.